to my,
Yeah. Recording.
yep, to the, regarding this webinar, because I know we want to talk
Yes,
about that.
absolutely.
I was going to start with just saying, so they're thinking like the age range is going to be probably 50s, give or take, a little
Hmm.
older, a little younger.
Hmm.
You know, some still raising kids, some empty nesters, but with that aging parent.
Right.
So one's a long-term care person. I don't know what the right verbiage is. I should know.
What is a long-term care?
Long-term sells long-term care
Oh,
insurance.
insurance person.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
right. I guess insurance was the word I was missing. And then the elder law attorney, trust and estates. Okay, so she does Medicaid planning plus your legal docs and all that planning,
Right.
and then me. So by right, I feel, and we didn't discuss this, I feel I should open it
Hmm.
because I'm the general contractor, right, that's going to bring in these people. So
Right.
I was going to start with, tell me what you think. Even as we sit here, we are all aging. And we don't think about that because we're living life, right? We're
Hmm.
raising kids, we're having families, we're going to school, we're doing all the things that we want to do and some things that we don't want to do. And then we have this aging person in our life, right? Whether they live near, not near, and they might not be doing so. So that was going to be my,
Hmm.
I'm again, I
Hmm.
didn't tweak it. That's, what do you think? Is
Let
it
me hear
enough? Is
let
it
me
enough
hear
to
sort
pull
of
in?
what did everyone kind of
Have to say?
land on in terms of
Yeah.
like what was the
Yeah. So between me and you, it's selling. They're about sales.
there about sales?
I'm about and again, sales by educating, right? But they want to get like, I don't expect to get anybody. I'm just because I've learned, right? But hopefully somebody, I'm opening them up to the fact that there are these aging life care professionals, and B, there are people out there, and maybe see, my logo, my name. Oh, I've heard of her. I've seen that logo somewhere. Which I
Mhm.
get. I don't know if it's just a line or people mean it. Um, or I was thinking we're all aging. Not everybody ages successfully.
So I want to get to that. So their right. So their goal is selling, but what is their message? Like if there was a message that all
The
of you
message is to do it now.
okay,
Like, get your long-term care insurance policy, get your legal docs in order. People think I'm 45, I don't need it. Guess what? Things happen, right? 40-year-olds have strokes, 50-year-olds get in car accidents. Like, people think this isn't, and this is me talking, this is not what they said, but this is my thought. People think this is all for later.
right.
And
Well,
I,
I'm sure the insurance guys would love to sell a bunch of what do you
woman,
call it?
right? Yeah.
What's that insurance?
Policies,
The
long-term care.
long-term care
Which the
policy.
younger you do it, the cheaper it is, right? Even though you're
Exactly.
paying for a longer time. So I don't know really numbers wise how it works out, and that's not my business.
Right.
Uh,
Like selling it to 50-year-olds is going to be very expensive. Like to
no,
sell it to
50
30-year
is,
olds.
I have to tell you, at 50, I wanted to do it. My husband's like, because his parents were deceased, unfortunately, by the time we walked down the aisle. My parents had a fabulous life, a terrible ending, both of them, but they had long term care insurance and they had a 90-day elimination period. They paid premiums all those years, never made it past the 90 days.
Hmm.
So here we paid out of pocket, they paid out of pocket for their caregivers and then didn't even get to use the policy. So my husband said, what do we need it for? I said, because it doesn't always happen that way. And we have to protect ourselves because it could wipe you out. I mean, with the cost of things, AIDS, when I
Absolutely.
started, caregivers were 16 an hour, they're now 30 an hour,
Yep.
double.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to be in 10 more years,
Sure.
whatever. So my message, I think the message is be proactive,
Well,
right?
but it's be proactive, but that's interesting because you're being proactive about your own health and your own mortality and your own issues, but aren't people there also because they're having to care because they're also
Well,
thinking about their
that's where
parents.
I'm coming in, right? I'm hoping they have this older person, mother, grandmother, aunt, uncle, whoever, that they're involved with, they're caring for, they're concerned about, they're seeing, Aunt Tilly isn't the same and her kids live in Connecticut, that type of thing. So as we're talking, I'm thinking like, so I think my message is that, just like you said, the elephant in the room. Nobody thinks about the aging process because we're busy living, which is what we should be doing,
Right.
right?
Well, so yes, so the elephant in the room is that that we're all aging. We have aging parents, and for many of us, by not talking about it or planning for it, we're making the inevitable worse.
Love it, right?
Right? So yeah, like nobody wants to talk about sickness, declining health, or or dying. But by not talking about it, we we're creating unnecessary drama around that which is, an inevitable part of life.
Right,
So
right.
here, so today
So
I
can
want to like
I,
dispel some myths, give you
right,
some clarity, help you plan.
right. Okay. So I'd love to do, I said to them, I love stories. I go, I would love to open. Okay, so let me just,
Now you could start with that, or you could also open with a story. I have no problem with
well,
opening with
so
a
do
story.
you know, so tell me if this is appropriate.
Mhm,
I, so I got a call from a daughter
mhm.
who retained me for her to be an aging life care professional for her parents. And if you don't know what that is, I'm sure we'll discuss it at some point. But for now, I want to share this story. So I go in, and the daughter tells me, if you don't do anything else, just so you know, my parents don't have burial plots. Mind you, these people are in their 80s. So I go in, I do my assessment, the first visit, I follow up. I wasn't going to talk about it the first time because I want to build a relationship with him to some degree, as opposed to just saying, you need to do this. Second time I go back, we're talking and I'm assessing and I'm finishing up. And I sat down next to this client and I said, Steve, in a whisper, I don't know if you heard, but we're all going to die. And then I screamed in his ear, get the plots. And he did.
I like that.
Is that a good opening?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I
All
like it.
right.
I mean, do you want to do that? And then you could do that before, like, and then you can do your
Aging bit.
the right the elephant in the room, right?
Okay.
So, that addresses the elephant in the room. Like, nobody wants to talk about, think about, or act upon the reality that we are all aging, sick, and ultimately going to be ultimately
Right.
die. And that's us, that's our parents, that's our loved ones, and those nearest and dearest to us.
Right.
So today, right, like you've already been introduced, right? Like I think
So
somebody,
I, right. So I don't know. I have to ask her because she said 10-minute conversation, five intro and five to close. So I don't know. Am I introducing how does it
that's a
typically work?
question. So if like I kind of depends on the structure of things. Sometimes I prefer to introduce myself, like, and I
Okay.
sort of embed it into my talk, and sometimes I prefer the host to do the introductions, just get it out of the way.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
I would say, like in a situation like this, I would rather them do it, so it's not
Okay.
like using up your
Yeah.
time.
Okay. And the one who
And you
organized it
write
is
it, you give it to them exactly how you want it done. I can
right.
help you with
Okay. So the three of that, the two women are very, when I say aggressive, not assertive, and I fit right in there. Like at one point, I said, "Ladies, I can't even get a word in edgewise." Like, and they know each other.
that.
They knew each other for years, I think, or longer. I knew to one I knew 3 years ago, never did anything with her, but the attorney, her and I, she liked me from the, she goes, "You're my type of people. I want to do something with you." And she does webinars. She's out there,
Right. Hmm.
and also very easy to talk to. And she's, she probably won't even plan, like she'll just talk. Do you know what I mean? And knowing what she's saying,
Right,
but like me,
right.
I have to review, and they don't. I'm not saying this is my first, rodeo, whatever.
Right, but
Um,
it's like there's something to like preparing and then you don't have to worry about it. It's like
right, exactly. And I'm hoping as long as I get my points
right.
and then I have 10 minutes of good information, I don't think I'm going to have to rehearse. You know what I mean? I want to, because it's what I do and what I love,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the less that I rehearse and just know story, the plots, the elephant in the room, right? And maybe one or two verbiage or things that need
Mm-hmm.
to spark my memory.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, and also I've been thinking a lot about this with speakers that I think that there is a tendency. It's like we have our 10 tips or whatever. Like we overload people with information when in fact what we really want to do is leave people with the belief, a new belief in themselves that they of what is possible if they go to you for for the solution,
right,
right?
right,
Because now I'm walking away like I was a little disheartened before, feeling a sense of overwhelm. Now, because I heard Sherry talk, it doesn't like you gave me a lot of information, right? Like that's great, but more, I now have a belief in myself and my ability that with your help I can navigate these tricky waters and sigh. I will have peace of mind. Like that is much better than me like walking away going, okay, now I need to like these are the 10 things I need to
right.
do.
Well, it's funny because
It's the
she
one
said
thing I
this,
need to do is hire you and
right,
then
right,
solved.
right.
Right?
So the one thing you said it and she said it, and I kind of knew it also. She said, listen, we're going to get all the emails. I'm going to share them with you. And then you could send your 10 tips or, follow up with whatever.
Exactly. It's like you'll build a relationship that way and get people into
Exactly.
your
Right.
orbit. But here it's much more like this is somebody I like, I relate to, I trust her. The stories have helped me. Where
Right.
she is connected, she's speaking what's on my mind, and
Right.
she's giving me the confidence to move forward and make like I'm now empowered because I feel like I believe in myself to make good choices.
Right.
That's a good feel. Like if I get that from walking away from a webinar
Right.
and
That's,
and I feel
yeah.
less overwhelmed, that's much better than like here are the 10 people that
I got to talk to my husband about his mother's X, Y, and Z. Right.
right? More like,
So,
I now know that I have the fortitude to get through this. There are people who've been through it before. This is somebody I can trust and reach out to. And okay,
right.
right.
I have to tell you, Alan, what I'm not struggling with because I started thinking not intensely, but she wants an outline, I think, by next week, which I want to,
We'll
I'm
get
going to
that
put it
done.
together. I'll send it to you.
Sure.
You'll tell me what you think. She
Yeah.
goes, a skeletal. She goes, don't tell me word for word, just what we're
Yeah.
saying, right?
Exactly.
Elephant in the room, or whatever, story. But I'm thinking, as much here, I'm doing this 20 years, I'm like, 10 minutes, like, that's a lot to me. I know it sounds funny
It goes by
because
like that though.
does it?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, absolutely. Especially if you like if we build out the stories with the right
Right,
kind of, tension and all that, resolution, the lesson learned, the tip or whatever,
right.
that'll fly by.
Right. Okay.
That'll fly.
So now that we talked about the elephant room, I'm asking you, I know you're saying, well, what do you think? I don't know.
Maybe not.
I definitely, I like to do my stories because it's easier for me. I don't have to write. I say them in my sleep. So that's definitely, I mean, do I do two more, one more? I mean, definitely, I would think two more at least
Yeah,
in 10
and unless you
minutes.
had one story that could work through all your
Play
main
out.
points,
Right.
I think
So,
you might need three different stories,
right. So
right?
this is the thing. So am I this is my problem. Like, I wasn't going to say, why would people, let me share some of our calls we get, why people call us. But that's so salesy to me.
First of all,
But it's, but
I
it's
don't think
really, but it's really educating,
right, and
right?
I don't think that there's anything wrong with selling. And like if there's an element of selling, like people expect to be sold to, but I think it's more. Uh, I've done so many of these different kinds of presentations. Like, I think there should be a story about how you got, why you do the work that you do, right?
Okay,
So that could be a personal story. I think you could then talk about, you could sort of give an overlay about like if there was a most common kind of person, like an avatar for, we, it could be like the second part could be like, we help a lot of people with a lot of different kinds of problems. Let me share a
right,
story with you about, the one kind of problem that we solve for the one kind of person that we see very, very frequently, just to give you an example.
right. So that would be clearly my Alzheimer's. The cognitive deficits there. We could start with, they don't have the diagnosis, but they're seeing signs. What are those? What signs? Right?
Right? So I like
Because
that. What are the,
people don't, and again, do I go into normal aging versus not normal aging? In other words,
yeah,
people think, like, I get this all the time. My mother, she's very repetitive, but I know, she's 90. So what? That's not normal aging. You know what I
right.
mean?
Right. I think that's actually a great like topic within the topic. Like
Yep.
mom is like, it's like, all right, so I'll use this as an example. Like, I'm 60, I'm 63. I've got a pretty good memory, but I have to do a mental checklist every day before I leave the apartment. Money, keys, wallet,
Right.
car keys, sort of, right? How many times have most of us like lost our glasses only to realize that they were on our head,
Right.
right?
Right.
Normal aging, forgetfulness happens. We take
Right.
a
Can't
little
find the
gin,
car. The other day, I'm in
can't
the
find the
parking lot in
car.
Boca Town Center, and somebody, this young, when I say young, probably in their, to me, they were 30s. Maybe they were older. Maybe they were late 40s. I don't know. I'm opening my car with my clicker, whatever, and I see they're like, there. I said, "You guys are too young for this," and they cracked up. They said, "We're not so young." They were
Right.
young.
But
Trust
that's
me.
like, but people, so that people can relate to. It's like, okay, I need to like up my ginseng. I need to start keeping lists in
Right.
place and I need
And
to,
the truth, right. So I want to say, you found your car. That's normal aging. If you don't find your car, right, and 3, 4 hours later, you're walking around and you parked it, you walked across the street to the mall, right? You got something to worry about. Or,
right.
the key, you lost your keys, but you found them, but your mother put the keys in the refrigerator. That's not normal aging.
That's right. So that I like that, right? This is what normal aging looks like.
Right,
Funny story about like, something self-deprecating or my husband's
right,
lost his glasses 6 times today. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I just think he's got too much on his plate. Mom has forgotten her, not only her keys, where she parked the car, but she's also left her keys in the freezer.
right.
Like,
Or, that, and this is what I was thinking, and I'm writing myself little notes.
mhm.
And again, I can make this stuff up because it's true. And even some of them now I'm thinking, where the long-term care policy lapse, connecting to my long-term care person, right?
Right,
Or that they didn't have their advanced directives, and now the person is diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
right.
So I'm feeding into my people.
That's great. I love that, right? Because hopefully they'll do the same to you for you, and then
Right.
that'll be a beautiful thing.
Correct.
So I like that, like normal aging, cautionary, when this is a problem, and some ideas about what you can do about it to know the
Right.
difference and how to act on it. Very clear, right? Memory loss is like huge
And
thing.
we're seeing it more. I should try to get statistics, so don't bother.
Oh, statistics are great. Like, you don't need to overwhelm people with statistics,
Just
but having
even
a
one,
couple.
even one.
Perfect. Perfect.
Because early onset, those numbers have, I don't know, double, tripled in the last, I don't know what the numbers are. I have to do my homework, but yeah, that's significant.
So you can
So
even
listen to,
organize it. Like you can talk about cognitive decline, like and memory loss and dementia, early dementia, all
yeah,
of that and then maybe your third bucket could be physical, the physical issue. I think the first point could just be, um,
cognitive deficits.
Well,
Well,
there's
remember,
cognitive. Well, if we did three, we have your story, how you got to the got
yeah,
got here, right? And why this is an important issue to you. Then the first bucket could be cognitive impairment, um, you know, slash normal, not normal,
normal aging versus not.
right? I mean, do you want to do separate, like forgetfulness is a whole category, or bucket that under cognitive?
So I would do, right, I would do cognitive impairment and then talk about normal aging versus non under cognitive, right? We're
Right,
just talking about that. We're not talking about other things that are not normal age, right?
right.
So I'm just touching on that. And then the second, we could do functionality or functional decline.
Is that physical?
Yeah,
Okay.
physical decline,
And then is there a third category?
cognitive, emotional,
Great.
which is your mental illness, your depression, your anxiety, and a lot
Perfect.
of people.
Yeah, yeah, that's good, right? Because there's a lot of misnomers about like how do you know if it's situational depression? How do you know if it's how do you begin? And again, you don't have to give the complete
Exactly. And I'm not, the truth is, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I don't diagnose, but I've been in this space long enough. I know. So just
one
again, just
one story, one example, and then
right.
maybe, and sort
Uh,
of what else might be is included in the bucket.
right. Okay. So I want to share a story with you. I don't know if it's appropriate, but this is true. So I call my sister up one morning. She's 14 months older than me. And I say to her, Anne, what was our backdoor neighbor's wife's name? I know his, now, should I change names? I shouldn't use real names.
But probably it
Doesn't
doesn't.
matter. I'm not saying last names.
Yeah.
His name was Richard, but what was her name? I can't. Now these were people that lived behind us for 15 years. We did parties together. My parents went out. We babysat. We were friends with the kids. Whatever. She said, Shari, I don't know. So I go to bed that night, and this is a true story. I go to bed that night. Alice, Betty, Karen, Debbie, Elise, I call her up in the morning. I'm like, Anne, guess what? She goes, and this literally like this, right? I was so excited. Anne, guess what? She said, what? I said, I got the name. It was Ruth. She goes, you know what the difference between you and I, Shari, is? I don't give a blank. And so the point, though, is after I hung up the phone, all pissed because she didn't care, and I was so happy that I figured it out, I thought to myself, I spent the whole night thinking about who this damn name was. That who cares? What's the difference? They're not in our lives anymore. It's not important to Shari Geller today. Okay. So I lost, if not a whole night of sleep, a few hours, because even when I got it, I was all over the place thinking about different things. So it affected, my sleep. Impacted my next day, and it's not good for your brain, right? And you have to realize we have a filing cabinet in our brain. So when you're 10 years old, you only have 10 years worth of information.
Hmm.
Well, now you're in your 50s and 60s. You have a lot of names, numbers, knowledge, education. Think what's in that brain, right? So to retrieve it is that much harder.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I mean, I actually like that as information, right? But it's sort of like, what do I do with that? Like, what do I do
Where
with
does
that
it?
knowledge? Like my
Right.
brain can only hold, like, because in some ways it's
So
sort of
the
saying like,
point
well,
is,
it's
I'm
normal then to
trying.
forget things.
Right. Right. And the point is, you have to stop and say, and it's kind of a tip more for them. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, if you don't remember somebody's name, which as we get older, it happens, the point is, as long as it comes back to you, even if it's 2 days later, it's when it doesn't come back.
Got it.
Now you have a
So
concern.
that so we would put that, that's like sort of an anecdote, not necessarily that's like I like that because it sort of illustrates that point, right? So we like any story, any anecdote, like start with the points that you want to make. That's the easiest thing. Like the points that you want to make about each of these.
I won't get hurt
Yeah.
if you say, Sherry, don't use it. I
Oh, I
just
don't
think
because
it's
I don't know what else you have in your filing
right,
cabinet, right?
right,
So that
right,
might be the perfect anecdote to use
right. I
to.
just think it's funny and I think it's relatable.
I think so too.
Right.
I think so too. I mean, it
Um,
makes you think about, it's like my parents, you know, I mean, when they were in their 40s, they had four kids. They could never get all of our names right. Like, and Like, so they would just go through the
I
list of.
have two kids. My mother once called somebody the dog's name. It's
I
like,
mean, now my mom would have said, well, like, 'cause they're just names. Like you, like we still know who you are. It's like, yeah, but
right.
it's we like to be called
Yeah,
by our correct names,
right,
not the dog's name. But
right,
anyway, so I think that like those are they're like some fun little things which are very on brand for you.
right.
I want your bigger stories to
Okay.
I want there then to be the balance with a little more heart, go
Well,
a little deeper.
or like the person that calls that their father, you know, was writing the checks for 20 years to his long-term care, and now they get a letter that it lapsed, which means he didn't send in that check. So
Yes.
what's happening with dad, right?
Right.
And so now, and then get into more, then would you get into like what we do, how we like with our assessment, what we're looking for? You don't get into all that.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do. I think one of the reasons why we do assessments with our clients and our prospective clients is to help them determine what's normal aging, what's forget like where they need to be proactive, where we're
Well,
in a serious area.
right. Well, the goal really is for us to identify all the issues, right?
Yeah.
So we're assessing and they're not getting out of bed, they're not doing the things. Okay, there might be depression here. So we have a tool for that, right?
Hmm.
Um, they're walking into the living room holding on to holding on to chairs. You might not notice it, you might not, and why would you?
Why would you? Right.
Why would you? We get families who call us like, I don't know this. I'm like, why would you know it?
Right.
You're an
Yeah.
attorney.
Yeah, and I think that
You're a homemaker.
right, like you don't have to go into like any kind of deep description about what that assessment is, but let people know you have an assessment that helps root out all of the different issues that
Right,
some of which you are aware of and some which you may not even know, and which is totally
right,
fine that you don't. Why
right.
would you?
Families, and I'll say families ask, how long will it take? I'm like, until we get in there, we don't know, because as good as you think things are, we're going to go in and not on purpose find things, but we're going to find things that you're not aware of. And
Right.
that's the goal of the
Well, it's
assessment,
like you
right?
know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. It's Johari's
Exactly. And I
lingo,
say
right?
that to families. Right.
All right.
Correct. Correct.
So yeah,
All right.
so I think that I think that what I want to just go back to the buckets, right? We've got the
Cognitive impairment.
right,
Well, first, how I got here, why is it important to me? Cognitive
physical,
impairment, physical decline, emotional decline.
and give me an emotional decline. Give me some of those examples. That's depression.
So that's depression, anxiety. It could be mental illness, such as we just started a client with a client who has schizophrenia. We have clients with schizophrenia. We have clients with bipolar. So we have had clients who were suicidal. So that's all under that.
Right. So I almost see like the way to organize it is like it's like you want to have like give an example of like mom, my mom, or Jane Doe,
Whatever.
who's been a worrier since she was 20 years old. Like,
Right.
she worries about A, B, and C. She's had some therapy. It helps. She has some anxiety. It helps. It's not, there's no danger in the level of anxiety or worry that it's manageable. And she's carried that into her 40s, 50s, 60s. Mom's a worrier, right? She's a worrier, but it's manageable. On the other hand, Sophie is a 60-year-old woman who maybe never really demonstrated much worry or anxiety, and suddenly she is literally frozen in her tracks because she
Right.
can't like. So I like the tension, right? So people could say, "Oh yeah, that's my mom. She's a worrier. She's always been a worrier, but she like lives her life and she's
Right.
happy. She's happy being a worrier." Right?
Right.
Like she's high functioning
Again,
worrier.
so it's the type of thing people say, what can you do with this diagnosis? XYZ diagnosis. We can't take the diagnosis away, but we could help manage it.
Right.
So, all right.
Right, but it is not normal, and you wouldn't necessarily know this because,
Why
then,
would you?
why would you? They keep on coming back to that. Like, you didn't know this, why would you? Like, that could be
Right,
your thing. Like, that
right,
could be your repeatable line, right? You didn't know that, why would you? We do,
right,
and that's why how we help. Dad frozen in his tracks, not knowing whether to turn right, turn left. He was an otherwise perfectly, you know, centered, balanced individual, and now is paralyzed with anxiety and fear. Like this is a red flag, right?
right.
This isn't just like, oh yeah, there's some things that, he's like that's overwhelming to him. Dad
Right,
is having an anxiety issues. He needs to see a specialist. We can help you
right,
navigate that.
right. So I like another thing is like when you said, you could say, you didn't know that by why would you? You didn't know that by why would you? But this is what we know. This is why people call us.
Hmm.
But how about also pointing out that's a red flag? That's a red flag.
Hmm.
That's, I mean, what do you think? Too
Hmm.
much?
Yeah, no, you could say, you know what? It's a red flag, but it's not a white flag.
Right, right, right,
Right?
right.
Like red flag alert, alert, but it doesn't mean that we've lost the
We're giving
battle,
in. Right.
right? We're not surrendering here.
Yeah. That's
We
good.
are,
I like it.
right?
Right.
So, and like if those, so one of the ways that to remember talks, is that you have a good outline and it's very well crafted. So you've got your opener. You know what you're saying here. You've got the story about how you got into this work, and then I've got my three buckets, and I've got bucket one, two, and three. Bucket one, we divided into, we got normal, not normal. What
Right.
do you do about it? Transition to the next. So it's very
Right.
like the outline will help you remember what,
Yeah.
what Jane's story here, Bob's story here. But so
Right.
you don't have to
Do you
worry
like
about.
do you like a story for each bucket or not necessarily?
I think let's see timing wise. You don't have
Okay.
to. I think it's
Right.
great. Like you may have one story that you want to give 4 minutes to, another story might be a minute. So we have to
Right.
look at the overall
Okay.
timing.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So we did our three buckets. We have, okay, and then a closing, I assume.
Yeah, and
Or
so closing, and we're sort of moving into a call to action. All right. Now, if you were opening with a story, we're opening like with in a way, you're kind of opening with your story about how you got
right.
involved.
Right.
There's something nice about ending with like the sort of,
Where I am now.
right, like how you wish that there had been a a Shari in my life when I was going through all of this to help me navigate those. Is that true?
I don't know. I'm missing your
If you were
that
starting out
I
with the reason that you got into this business was because of things how you struggled with dealing with your own parents, right? Is that right? I made that.
no, I was well into it
Oh,
already.
you're well into it. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you want to hear?
Yeah, I
Should I tell
do.
you? Okay. So I was a stay-at-home mom, and my sister, same sister as I was talking to you about before, and I have another one. Um, she got into this space as a second career, went back to school for her master's later in life. And I remember saying to my mother, Mom, and this isn't to tell them, but Mom, I could never do what she's doing. She had a job. She wasn't the stay-at-home mom type. I was. So she had a nanny, but she worked full time. She went back to school, had an internship. Well, she got into this, and by 13, I didn't have any grandparents. My grandparents were deceased. So there was nobody really, that older cohort, there was nobody in my life. My parents were the oldest people, and to me, they weren't old,
Mhm.
right? So she got into it and she started telling me about stories. And I would say, what did you do? What happened?
Hmm.
Whatever. Definitely piqued my interest. And I decided to go back. I got a certificate in gerontology just to see who are these people. I didn't know anything about the older adult. the elderly. So I don't know, older adult, I don't know. Anyway, took the course and then decided at 48 to go back for my master's of social work. So working, had an internship, raising my kids, and here what I said I wasn't going to do or couldn't think how could anybody do that, I was doing it. So it's definitely, as we just, one of my biggest achievements. Anyway, worked for her for 6 years. This a lot of friction. I love her. We're very close. And so I decided to go on my own. Now we're in our 15th year.
And dealing with aging parents yourself, how valuable was it that you had the sort of the education on that?
So it's funny because I remember my mother needed valve replacement. And I went in with my notebook, and my father was like strutting like, I have my own care manager,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'm asking a million questions, and my father was pretty smart, not a physician, dropped out. He was a self-made man, dropped out in 11th grade as a side note, but asking all these questions and whatever, and advocating for my mother, and you know, coordinating. But the funny thing is, I mean, she got through that, and then she was diagnosed with this again, not to tell them, but with leukemia.
Hmm.
And at that point, I said to my sister, "We need a care manager," because it was too emotional. I couldn't handle it. Well, P.S. She went on hospice, and that was
Yeah,
it. I should have done it on day one,
right.
but I was into it. But I was doing the doctor's appointment. I was the care manager for my mom.
Well, so I actually think that there's nice symmetry then, because you could close with, I think back to when I was that care manager for my mom, how
Right,
difficult it was, even for me, just because of the emotional weight of that, and how I wish, and how, and so I get it. I understand what what it's like to go through this, and I would love to be that care manager for you, for your loved ones, to help ease that burden so that
right,
you never have to go it alone.
right.
So that could be the way that you close it, perhaps.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I also I remember a daughter once called me, and I love this. It's a
Mhm.
30-second story, whatever. She
Yeah.
called me and she said, "Oh, you're like the daughter?" And I'm like, "No, you're the daughter. We want you to be the daughter. We are the professional. This is our wheelhouse. This is what we do 24/7." So again, and they say that sounds great because they don't want to be the care manager. They don't want to call for the blood work and
Right.
tell their father that they have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever the case may be. So,
Right. So I mean, I like that too. It's like you don't need to be the care manager for your parents. I mean, of
right.
course,
Well, go ahead.
of course, if you want to be, that's great. But most of us don't have the time, the energy, the resources, or the knowledge.
Knowledge. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So let me be that. Let me be that for you and for those that matter to you in your life. I'm here for you.
Right. I I would have a hard time with that. I think
Tell me
it's too
why.
sick. That's in other words, I'm
Oh,
basically selling,
oh, you
you
are.
know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I made you
right.
sell.
Yeah. And listen, I sell every day, right? When that phone calls, I'm selling. But one of my care managers once said, I love it. She goes, "You're not selling, you're educating."
Well, you've educated people a lot now through this speech, right? Like I do think that there's a responsibility um to now empower people. So you've empowered people with information. Now you have to that, but they're
Right.
probably not
Okay.
going to do anything with it.
Right. So what I would say instead of for you, I would say, so I'm asking you, all of you on this call, we talked about the elephant in the room, all these hard conversations. If you know somebody, right, that's dealing with a family member or somebody they love, it doesn't matter the connection, right? Somebody they care about, and they're seeing some of these signs, please let them know that we exist. We're here to help.
I love it. Reach out to me. Would
So
love
it's
to have a
not
conversation.
them, right? It's
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know
And
somebody.
right, and that they will hear that it's
I
them.
mean, I could say if you or if you for your family member or loved one, or somebody, because we all know somebody that's failing, whether it's cognitive, physical, or emotional decline,
Right,
right?
right, and that's not. I mean, people expect. there to be some
right,
sort of call to action. So you're
right.
not saying call
So I again, I
SENIOR
don't mind.
options.
I don't mind, putting it out there. I just don't feel like talking to like you for your mother or grandmother. Like,
Let me be the caretaker to your mom or whatever, right? So I can understand.
right.
You
But I
so that
hear, right. Okay. So
there is a fine line between not selling at all and overselling. So we have to find what that balance is, what feels
right,
right for you. And it
right,
sounds like
right. So
that's
what am I going to do about my intro? Like how I mean, that's long and drawn out. What do you think is important to
well, so
share?
how would you feel about just, I mean, we talked about it, but how do you feel about just sort of outlining, just sort of dumping stuff into a document? I'll take a look at it
Yeah,
and then
no, no,
we can
no,
tweak it,
absolutely. And we'll
right?
start tweaking and playing with it. Okay.
Yeah, but I, I still kind of like, so the opener, I liked what we talked about, which was,
We talked
um,
about it.
I
Go
know
ahead.
that's why it's good to record. I'm glad we
Right.
recorded.
So we
Um,
talked about, well, I had that opening story about the guy that didn't have the plots.
yeah, I like that.
I mean, could I open with that,
You
literally
could,
that?
but I
Or,
feel like that's better in the sort of better in the memory loss. Oh no, no,
okay.
no, that was to do with like the elephant in the room. Yeah, yeah, no, I
Right.
love that.
Correct.
I love that as an opener.
Okay.
So that's your opening story.
That leads into the elephant in the room.
Then you
And
talk
then
about the
we get
elephant in
into,
the
and then
room.
we get into the buckets.
Right. Then you're like, so I'm not, if there's a world of information, a world of things that we cover that we work with families around. I'm going to focus on three different main areas today. All right.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. And then we go into it. All right.
Right. Yep. Love it.
And then we'll just then we kind of, and I think then this is helping you to give,
Yeah. Her, the
giving
outline.
right. And I
Yeah.
would suggest that she do your introduction. So
Okay.
then your story can just be more personal.
But am I doing the how I got here and why it's important to me, or am I letting her do that?
No, you do that. Oh, you absolutely do that. She's
Okay.
like Shari runs an organization called what, whatever.
Right. This is her credentials.
She lives
They serve this from Fort Lauderdale to,
she lives
yeah, got
here,
it.
da da da. But I'm going to let Shari tell you more about how she got into this work and more about
Right.
what she and her company
But
do.
but am I telling the story with my sister? That I worked, the
I
whole,
like this story. We'll work on it. We'll
okay,
massage it.
clean it up.
Yeah, I think that you have to, that's your why story,
Right. Sure.
right? So we have that's what people are
Right.
connecting with you around why you do what you do,
Right.
and that's your that's your second opportunity to make you relatable. I mean, your first story, well, I mean that also makes you relatable. It's a little more humorous, right? That's a
Right.
nice way to bring people in. This story is a little
Right.
more like a little
Hard.
more touch the heart.
Right. Right.
Right.
Okay. All
And then
right. I think
story,
I think we
story.
got I think we got 10 minutes.
Oh, you think?
I'm kidding. I probably went to 20.
Right, right. But then we figure out what, it's all on the edit and it's all like
Right.
cut, because we
Yep.
want to leave room for laughter,
Right.
for people
Space.
space to take it all in.
Right. Right.
And then there is a question and answer period. How are they
So I
handling it?
think it's going to be 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. She said, I don't know. So what did she say? 10 is 30. And then 5, 10. I guess 5 minutes for an opening. I have to ask her what she means by that. Meaning, are we opening for 5 minutes, telling about us? I don't know.
But
And
is
then
she opening for questions?
she did say questions at the end. So I'll clear it up with her and get
Yeah.
that. But yeah, this is very good for me
This
because
will
if
be
I can,
great. And then we can take this and let's make sure they record it so I can also listen to it. But then we can look at like what worked, what could work better, and then how we can turn this
ex-
into a speech.
right, expand on this. Right. I got it. No,
So
amazing.
we're talking about like a 10-minute presentation like you're doing it. So I think of it as like an accordion. You can expand it. If somebody said, okay, can you do a 30-minute talk?
Right.
Yes. I keep the framework, but I can add more stories, more
Yep.
examples.
Right.
Or we need you to do it in five. You're like, okay, I could do five. I'm going to cut. but I'm still
Right,
maybe going to keep the buckets, or I'm only going to do two buckets, not three.
right, right. No, this is amazing. And I think it'll be easy for me because I'm putting it together. I didn't have to look anything up, right? This is what I know, right? This
Right.
is what I live every day.
Couple of statistics, a couple of facts. We'll talk about slides. Like, are people using?
No slides, she said. She goes, for 10 minutes, she goes, no slides. I said, yeah, I didn't think so, but I was just checking.
Use hand puppets. I've done a
I'll have my,
presentation. I took out hand puppets once. Don't ask me why.
that's great. I love it. I love it. Anything to be different.
Yeah,
So no, this is very helpful. I
good.
think, I'm
Good.
excited about it.
It's gonna be great.
And I think I told you that, is it November? I think I'm doing a webinar that's going to be very big. When I say very big, I don't know. But so I got involved with, I think I told you this USA Club,
Mhm.
USA 500 Club. I should get the name right. And so we're doing a webinar. The guy likes me, so he put me as a host. I don't have to do anything. There are three hosts.
Right.
So, but he puts my name in my company, and I'm trying to get the word out. But it's on the transfer of the greatest wealth, the greatest wealth transfer. In other words, the baby boom. In other words, a woman dies and she's left with 20 million, and now she passes away, and her kids are left with the 20 or 18 million, whatever. You're talking about 50 million. It's unbelievable. I should send it to you because anybody who's either going to come into the money or
Mhm.
is of that wealth, they said it's the greatest wealth transfer in.
Oh. So, what are the implications for the aging population and for?
So this is really about what you do with the money, they have like, I think 10 women speaking, like
Mm,
from money managers, attorneys, I think. It's funny. I sent it to somebody in my association and she goes, I signed up.
I love
I'm
it.
like, yeah.
Well, it'll be
So,
fun to figure out where how you want to speak in
well,
this.
no, then they're going to do a follow up to that. He wants to do like 3 or 4 webinars through the year. And he goes, Shari, I'm going to put you on the second one. So the point is, by the time I'll have this a little, and I think it's 5 minutes, right? So depending on but it's with it's about aging and whatever. So
And next thing you
again,
know, you're going to do a TED Talk.
that's the goal, as my
I
son
would
would
love
say.
it. I would love to work with you on that. That's like,
Okay. Yeah,
that's
another,
there. You'll get
another,
there.
but again, my goal was that I get comfortable, and because once you're known as the expert, the world opens up.
100, like you already have this network, so now you'll feel more confident to reach out to say, "Hey, I want to get out there to talk more about this." And,
Right, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So that's the
yay.
goal. Okay.
I can I get back to you with a couple of, well, tell me, maybe we'll just do it. What slots, what times work for you next week?
Sure.
I'm still
Tell me what you're
Well, I'm
thinking.
still traveling, but I'm coming, it's coming to an end. So I think we just go ahead and we just schedule what is happening here. Huh.
I could do the third. Does that work for you?
Yeah, hold on for a second. Uh, yeah, why don't we do that's funny.
You want to do 11,
Yeah,
10,
let's do 10.
10?
I'm in your time zone again.
Okay.
Okay, I'll send you an invite.
Okay.
Let me just
So I'm going to,
and then you send me whatever you want me to look at
yeah,
before then.
I'm going to work. Yeah, I'm going to work on this because she's going to want it sooner than later.
Okay.
So I have a lot to do today, but in the next few days, I'll send it to you. And
Yeah, I have plenty of time to look at it. I'm just
okay,
hanging out.
beautiful. Okay,
All
great.
right.
Alan, thank you again.
Be good.
Well, safe travels.